Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Cavan-Smith. Tonight, 10 South Sudanese soldiers are sentenced to prison for the rape of foreign aid workers and the murder of a journalist in 2016 during a raid on a hotel in Juba. Also, thousands of white workers protest in South Africa. They accuse chemicals company Sasol of discrimination over a scheme that only offers shares to black employees. And bookshop shelves and school bags are empty at the start of the new year in Cameroon. There's been a massive hold-up in the delivery of equipment and textbooks following the government's last-minute change to the curriculum. But first, 10 South Sudanese soldiers have been found guilty for their role in an attack on a Juba hotel in which 5 foreign aid workers were gang-raped in 2016. 2 of the convicted got life in prison for the murder of a local journalist, and the others received sentences ranging from 7 to 14 years. Nicholas Romain has more.
This case was seen as a test to see how the justice system would treat government soldiers in a country known for its culture of impunity. The 10 soldiers were handed sentences ranging from 7 years to life imprisonment. They were found guilty of raping 5 foreign aid workers in a hotel and murdering a local journalist 2 years ago. The government will have to pay compensation.
The government of the Republic of South Sudan will pay, represented in the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, an amount of 2 million.
These $2 million will go to the British owner of the hotel that was looted. An American, an Italian and a Dutch were among the rape victims. They will only get $4,000 each. The family of the local journalist who was killed will receive 51 cows. Such trials are rare in South Sudan. The presence of foreign victims could explain why this one took place. During the attack, the aid workers appealed to nearby UN peacekeepers for help, but they did not come. Later, a UN investigation concluded there had been a chaotic and ineffective response. The force commander was sacked. Last month, rebel leader Riek Machar said he approved a peace deal with President Salva Kiir, but such deals have often failed in the past. Fighting between the two camps has left tens of thousands dead since 2013.
Diplomatic relations within the Horn of Africa continue to warm up. Ethiopia reopened its embassy in Eritrea's capital on Thursday. The country's ended 20 years of tensions with a peace deal back in July. That followed the appointment in April of Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Now, he was in Asmara this week, as were the leaders of Eritrea and Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed. All 3 countries also signed an agreement to boost security, political and economic ties. Thursday also saw Djibouti hail a new era in its relations with rival Eritrea. Its foreign minister paid a surprise visit to Djibouti on Thursday. The nations have faced tensions over a disputed border region for decades. Now, around 2,000 mainly white workers protested in Secundaire, South Africa on Thursday against chemical company Sasol. Members of the Solidarity Union, mostly Afrikaners, demonstrated against a plan to allocate shares only to black employees. The scheme is aimed at empowering communities historically disadvantaged as a result of racial inequality. Demonstrators, though, say that this isn't the way to end discrimination.
To exclude, if you want to empower your black workers, this memorandum, this protest, this strike is not against transformation in South Africa, because I think we are all in agreement that it's necessary to address imbalances. It is necessary to create more black ownership in the economy, but these workers can't be simply excluded on the basis of race. We create a new moral dilemma for South Africa.
Well, Tim Butcher is in Cape Town. He joins us now with more. Tim, do they have a point? Give us a bit more of a background to the union's frustrations here.
Well, this is a very important power plant. It's an oil conversion plant in the north of the country, and it has a huge impact on South Africa. So the workers there, and it is a huge employer of both black and white. The cohort splits between the two groups. One group is getting something, the black community, the black workers are receiving something, and the white community isn't, the white group aren't. It is a bonus, as it were. It's not a standard pay, it's an additional thing, it's a share option. And both communities were given the first tranche. When it comes to the second tranche, they decided to split it purely to the black employees. So the point is, it might sound fair, in an objective world and in a level playing field, but we have to remember we're in South Africa, and it's a place where the level playing field hasn't existed for centuries. It's only been, the apartheid ended in 1994. And in that period, of course, it was the white workers who enjoyed a very positive advantage, total discrimination against their black colleagues. So it is that baggage, it's that history that overhangs whether or not this is a fair question. Now, the law is very clearly on the side of the employers. They can do this, and they are encouraged to do this. They're encouraged under a scheme called Black Economic Empowerment, BEE, which has been running since 1994 to try and restore that balance so that black employees who didn't have any advantage in history can get something. What's interesting about this case is that it is involving workers rather than senior managers, people on the boards of companies who've received shares, successful black businessmen and businesswomen over the last decades. 2 decades have received vast amounts of shares, but this one is about workers on the workflow, and that's what makes it quite a test case.
Tim, what does this whole standoff tell us about some of the challenges facing modern South Africa as it tries to move beyond the damaging legacy of apartheid?
Well, that's a good question. The point is that these issues are still, the wounds are still livid. They've yet to heal. 1994 isn't, it's been some years that have passed since then, but unfortunately, the baggage from apartheid is still there. Only last week, your viewers would have heard about the issue of land reform in South Africa. Land, again, is skewed still in the advantage of a very small community, the white minority. And it's that the government has tried to tackle, to say we're going to start taking land away without a compensation and handing it to black owners. And so that issue is still in the air. We're now talking about economic imbalances and trying to sort those out. And the point is that it tells us that modern South Africa, the years have passed, but the issues haven't gone away. In a way, they've kind of been swept under the carpet. And so this strike lifts that carpet and shows that there's still some nastiness under there that needs to be dealt with. And Cyril Ramaphosa, the newly elected president here, he himself is a multi-millionaire in dollar terms, a billionaire in rand terms, and an enormous part of his wealth comes from, guess what? Black economic empowerment, from being a very well-positioned businessman who was able to take advantage of the economic policies to try and level the playing field after apartheid. But for the workers, the wait is longer.
Tim Butcher there for us in Cape Town. Thanks very much. Now, Kenya's seen a 4th day of protests by petroleum transporters against a new government tax on all fuel products. The 16% VAT hikes also led to a huge line at the pumps and a fuel shortage as distributors boycott. The country's energy regulators accused the Kenyan Independent Petroleum Distributors Association of economic sabotage and revoked its licence. The tax has also led to fare increases in taxis, and millers say that they'll be forced to raise the price of flour. And finally, it's been a tough back-to-school period for students in Cameroon. Parents have been scrambling to find textbooks listed on the curriculum because of a hold-up in delivery caused by last-minute changes brought in by the government. Our correspondents have more.
This week, students in Yaoundé returned to school with almost empty school bags because of a lack of textbooks and school equipment on sale. The shortage has also left bookshop shelves empty and parents frustrated. Usually, parents do not have to frantically look for textbooks at the start of the academic year. This year, the government made changes to the school program a little too late, 1 month to school resumption.
As parents, it's not easy for us. The children need their books to start studying effectively. When the books are scarce, it is very difficult for us.
The limited copies of school books on sale in bookshops have gone up in prices, and the situation has strained relations between publishers, suppliers and shopkeepers.
It's just terrible. Some publishers have simply refused to pay those who supply the books to bookshops. Normally, we are to give these suppliers 20% of the sales we make. Unfortunately, some publishers give only 10% or 15%.
Here are some of the books we have. These are part of the school program this year.
While some publishers are taking advantage of the book scarcity by increasing prices to make extra gains, others like Jacques Kokam have decided to print the new textbooks locally instead of doing so out of Cameroon.
We have publishers who only operate between the months of August and November. They do other things when books are not in high demand. To them it is like coffee or cocoa. It's seasonal work.
Publishers rushing to get textbooks printed overseas say it could take until the end of the month before they are ready for distribution in schools. In the meantime, many Cameroonian students will have to make do with the few resources available.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.
Sur France 24, la nuit, on est très fiers d'accompagner les Amériques dans leurs soirées, de voir l'Asie se réveiller, et on est là jusqu'à ce que Paris s'éveille.
France 24 es más que solo noticias. Es libertad, igualdad y actualidad. Nosotros damos un paso más allá, con información al momento para analizar, comprender, poner en perspectiva y debatir.
Sur France 24, l'Afrique c'est chic.
In Live from Paris, our correspondents around the world keep you up to date.
Vous êtes déjà plusieurs millions et de plus en plus nombreux à suivre France 24 sur les réseaux sociaux.
من الطبيعي أن يكون شعارها الحرية وخاصة حرية التعبير في بلد حرية التعبير.